Hey, it's Joe at TechNet Edge here at TechEd09, and the guy sitting next to me really doesn't need an introduction, but we'll do it anyway.
People say that, but you know, I find an astounding number of people. I'll do these sessions with 600 people, and an astounding number of people have never heard of me, 10 or 15 of them. It's just, it's terrible.
It's got to be around. So there's Mark Minasi. How are you, sir?
I am good. You know, I just finished my last talk, and two cool things. One was it was a whole lot of fun, and I did it on UAC and Windows integrity levels. So talk about putting a target on yourself.
Yeah.
I'm the only guy that likes UAC, and it's because people don't like UAC for all the wrong reasons, and if they learn more about it, then they gotta like it. So that was a fun talk, but it's a sad moment because I'm done with all my talks. I want more talks. I love doing Tech Ed talks.
Well, we can sit and talk for a few minutes anyway.
There we
Extend
go.
it a little bit.
There you go, precisely.
So you actually...
And you did a talk as well.
I did.
Monstrously attended. 500 people showed up to listen to you. I wanted to do that talk, but I knew Snow would do it. So. Anyway.
That's all right. So you painted a target on yourself. You went out and submitted a session on user account control.
Yep.
What were you thinking?
Oh, well, first of all, we wowed them in Barcelona with it.
Okay.
Believe it or not, people showed up at 8 o'clock in the morning. This was
in Barcelona?
This was...
It's impressive.
It was the day after the election day. And because with European time, I had found out 5 minutes before I went on stage that we had a new president.
Oh.
And I'll tell you, in Europe, he went over pretty well. I opened up and said, hey guys, did you hear I have a new president? And the whole crowd went nuts. I think Europe loves him more than we did. You know?
I think so.
But anyway, so what I like about UAC is, let's be clear, it had a plan that it failed at. It really doesn't help you avoid malware. But you know, it helps you with something. But I'm a, give me lemons, I'll make lemonade kind of guy. And so I think that it avoids the two-account shuffle that we have to do as administrators. If you're an admin, you're supposed to have your big guy account and your little guy account, and you're supposed to be logging off and logging on all day. None of us do that.
Right.
It's 15 minutes to log on and off. I mean, if you're paid by the hour, then you're doing it. Or if you work for the government, something like that, then you're doing it. So we're going to edit that out. Anyway, so...
No.
Okay, thanks. And so what's nice about this is that, first of all, if I've got two accounts, I've got to keep track of two passwords. Mm-hmm. I've got to remember to change them both. I'm doing the log on and log off. UAC has the side effect of I log on as Superman, and it automatically creates two IDs for me, the Clark Kent, robot, and the Superman account. And I run some processes, and by default, they run as Clark, which means most of the time I'm not donning the cape and boots. And let's be clear, I would not argue to you that regular old users can't hurt themselves. They certainly can, and there's lots of malware that I could install on myself in malware. But there still is a value to the two-account shuffle, and this makes it automatic. People don't like UAC because of the prompt. And it's so astounding to me, because maybe it's just I have no life and I just know all the group policy settings. But there's 9 UAC group policy settings, and one says, elevate or don't elevate, but don't bother me. Cool.
Right.
You do that, it becomes great. I like that. And then I have two subversive reasons why I like UAC. First is, if you have to elevate a program, and by the way, elevate means use the Superman token here, right-click, run as administrator. If you're elevating, you get the prompt. That's why the prompt exists. It's saying, you're playing with the sharp knives, are you sure? Anyway, so when we, if you have to elevate a word processor, if you have to elevate let's say, maybe a check writing personal finance program, I can't exactly intuit what the app would be. In any case,
gotcha.
Then I shouldn't have to be an administrator to write a check,
Right.
And the AutoCAD guys, there's a major, cool, big application. Until 2007, you had to elevate. They fixed it,
Yeah.
But until 2007, isn't that interesting? Vista comes out and they fix a problem that's been around. You guys told us about HKey local machine and HKey current user and regular users and admin users in April of 1992 at the Moscone Center for the big Win32 SDK conference. So it's not news. It's funny though that you can hate Vista all you like, you can hate UAC all you like, but in the last 2 years, I see an awful lot of apps that are being written correctly. So, I like the fact that I'm reminded, this is a stupid app every time I run it. This is a stupid app. And the third thing I like is, when you look at the UAC prompts, there's 3 of them. One's got the teal banner, I'm talking Vista. Got the teal banner across the top that says, this is Windows, you can trust it. It's even got the Windows flag on it. Am I the only person who's concerned about the fact that there's a Windows flag? It's a little frightening.
Yeah.
I was talking to Riley about that once. Riley and I were having dinner. This is back when he worked for your company. And I said, Windows flag, what is up with that? And he says, Mark, we're misunderstood. I said, what do you mean, Steve? He says, people think we want to dominate the world. And I say, yeah. He says, no, it's definitely wrong. It's only where there's land. That's all we want, Now that he's not working, I can tell that story.
Yeah, there you go.
Anyway, so if you have, so there's one, the teal says it's part of Windows. There's a gray bar that says this is a signed app, and there's an orange bar that says this is unsigned. You know, I like that. I like that. And I am noticing that in the last 2 years, since Vista came out, there's a lot more signed apps. I think those prompts really help. Even better, in Windows 7, the difference between I'm Windows and I'm signed has very much blurred, and I like that. Because basically that's Microsoft saying, let's get behind the people that are doing... Everybody should sign their code. 99 bucks a year, you get a Komodo. I mean, I've got one for the 2 applications that I give away, you know?
Right.
So, anyway.
So let me ask you, what are some of the most popular questions, the questions you get all the time when you start talking about user account control?
There's certain things that people want that I think everybody wants. As an MVP, I was talking to the Windows people as they were building UAC, and I'm not a genius, I had the same idea everybody else did. Some people say, can I have a listing of apps to automatically elevate? A lot of folks want that. Microsoft said no. Their answer was, and it makes sense, is look, there's certain apps everybody's going to type in there, so if I'm writing malware, I'll give it that exe name. I understand what they're saying. I wish they'd let me do it in any case. Unix folks will often say, you know, with super user, I can say elevate me for the next 5 minutes. Can you do that? You can't do that in Windows. You know, it's a reasonable request. I wish you could do it. You can't. I really get the impression that you guys are backing away from UAC or trying to make believe it's not there, largely because it didn't solve the original idea. It's a shame that nobody up top, you know, in the Windows organization understands it's got these other kind of nice lemonade side effects, you know. So,
second part of your session talked about Windows integrity levels.
Windows integrity levels, great stuff, fascinating stuff. So the Boston TechEd is in it's in 2006 in Boston in June, and Mark Rusinovich did this day-long talk about changes to security technologies in Vista coming up, and I knew a lot of this stuff, but I hadn't really had the time to focus on it. And 2 that amazed me, one was UAC. Because, I mean, my thought with UAC was, oh, God, this is exactly what I don't want. Because the one feature of Windows I've always wanted is a registry entry in HT Local Machine, software, Microsoft, Windows NT current version. That's a reg D word called Never Question Mark's Judgment. And when you set it to 1, then you never get a dialog box that says, are you sure? It's like, I was born sure, son.
Okay,
you know?
All right, sure.
But I like UAC, but the thing that's likable about UAC, IBM did an interesting user interface study like 25 years ago, where people don't mind prompts if they understand why they're there and if they're regular. The problem with most of the are you sure prompts is sometimes I get them and sometimes I don't. There's no rhyme or reason to it, right? So that was one thing, but I hadn't gotten that insight yet. Second was Windows integrity levels. So what you guys were doing was, the notion was that the whole Windows folder would have this like uber permission, these permissions that trump permissions, so that if I'm an administrator, if I own the file, I have full control, I still can't delete it. Wow. So this is kind of like, for those of you who've done your CISSP, or if you know about discretionary access versus mandatory access, this was you guys doing a mandatory access light set of uber permissions. And the idea was you could have a no write-up policy, which meant everybody gets a level of trustworthiness. There were 6 levels of trustworthiness that you get branded with. And if you're an object, you're a file, I control you, but I'm not as trustworthy as you. I can't modify you by default. That's no write-up. You can have no read-up and no execute-up as well. So the interesting idea was, like, if I'm an administrator, maybe I'm drunk, stupid, or tired, and I'm going to do something that will install a rootkit, I don't have the ability to do it. And why? Because I can't modify anything in the Windows folder anyway. Interesting, right? Now, I think it's an interesting idea. Now, my first thought was, are you out of your blankety-blank minds? This is my computer. You can't put stuff on my computer that I can't delete. And I went around buttonholing every Microsoft security guy that I could all throughout TechEd Boston. I was like, Saul of Tarsus had nothing on me. But like Saul, I had my road to Damascus moment. Because you know, it dawned on me about the 5th day, it's like, I don't actually want to delete things in my Windows folder. And maybe keeping me from doing it isn't a bad idea after all.
It might be a little important.
But no one else, again, I focus on this stuff. The rest of the techie world lost their blankety-blank minds. They were like, are you crazy? And so Microsoft backed away from it at the speed of light. And they pulled out most of what you'd see in user integrity levels. But you know what's interesting? The plumbing's still there. So it's like you guys took out the sinks and the toilets, but the pipes are still there. And I feared that because the idea is, in terms of trustworthiness levels, administrators are here and the operating system's here.
Right.
So that means anything that's marked as OS, I can't delete. My thought was, wait. What if somebody figures out how to build a rootkit and set it to system? So I got to like really freaking out about this. So I'm talking to the Microsoft guys, the security guys, and I said, is there a tool that will let me experiment with this, that will let me change integrity levels? They said, no. I said, is there going to be one? They said, no, as a matter of fact, you can only lower integrity levels, you can't raise them, and blah, 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 blah. People didn't understand it very well. So that summer, I taught myself C++ and the Win32 SDK, and I wrote a C++ program that would allow me to go out and